Hello, Professor. Good afternoon. So as you may see, I'm a little bad. When I came back from DC, I got the flu. So I already tried recording it with the mask on, and I'm just gonna have to clean up afterwards. No mask because the audio is really bad. But here's just a report of what I've been working on with the water wand. And as you may see from the other group members, is that I've been mainly focused on just the particle electron and just having the particle electron work with the conductivity sensor and the GPS and all the other sensors that everyone else has been working on, outside of the particle. So my main contributions right now have just been developing that conductivity sensor individually, making sure that it worked, and then working with the GPS individually, making sure that the GPS worked. And then recently we got both devices to work together onto the particle. And Misal and Ali also finished the turbidity code, and they tested the turbidity sensor. And my job next is to have that also added onto. So I have to basically just add that onto, just translate it to particle syntax, and that's pretty much it. Once we had that, we just have to look at the next steps. So one of the main issues that we're having right now, or I know that we're going to run into, is So we finish these two things, and right now, although both sensors are working simultaneously, there's some things I want to work on, flush it out, make it better. And what I mean by that is the following. So this is just a picture of the particle right now. This is our latest, I would say, setup. We had the GPS and the connectivity sensor working. So you can see here, this is the connectivity probe, and this is the GPS working onto the particle. And right now it's connected using the UART connection. And here you can see in the console, we have the GPS output on the top. And we verified this to where we were at, and this was fine. As well as the connectivity sensor, we tested that out, and it was similar to when we had it connected individually. So it was working rather fine. We could have also added the turbidity had I had the turbidity sensor at the time. But the problem is that before adding more sensors, we want to integrate this a lot better. We want to have it so that it's not continuous, because one of the problems is that right now it's kind of just having continuous readings. So when we turn on the particle does its own initializing, and then it's just gonna dump out readings. So it's gonna be like every 4 seconds it's gonna GPS reading, conductivity reading. We don't want that. We want to have press a button or some kind of command where we say, now I want my reading now. What is the reading here now? That's how we want it. So I have to make some changes to the code right now, because all the code that's available to us is continuous. So it's just infinite loops. We want to be able to just sleep it and have it whenever it gets that alert. We want to turn it on and read it. So that's one of the things I'm going to start working on as well as one of the problems that I know we're going to face in the future is that the particle electron only has 3 UART ports. And that kind of just means 3 sensors max, assuming that every sensor needs a UART connection. It has more ports. It has 5 serial ports. So we could have, there are 2 serial ports that I'm not too sure aren't UART though, but they use other connections. Maybe the GPS can work on one of those, or some other sensor can work on those. That way we, don't have to split it off, because the other option, assuming we want to have those 4 sensors on the particle, is we can have an Arduino, smaller, say Arduino Uno, and that Arduino can have a few sensors on it, and then that Arduino sends all that data to the particle. So essentially it acts as an extension to that UART connection. And, sure, it gives us more sensor readings, but now we have a bulkier system, and we kind of don't want that. So we kind of have to discuss that. We already brought it up to Bianya, and that's one option, but that's something we have to talk more as well. I want to know your opinions and what we can do. What would you do in this situation? But first, we have to look into that UART, and does every sensor need that? And once I have that the code personalized, in other words, I have that individual running code, I can start implementing that connectivity protocol that I had mentioned before. So prior, and still does that now, because I haven't implemented it, the particle gets frozen when it's trying to connect to the 3G network. And the problem with that is that it's not going to connect, and if it doesn't connect, it's just going to stay trying to connect, and it's not going to do anything useful. But there's already a community solution to this that I haven't implemented, And the reason I haven't implemented it yet is because we've been trying out the sensors and making sure everything's working fine, making sure that the code's working, and just familiarizing ourselves with the particle. So the next steps after we add that turbidity and have those three sensors working, I want to implement. Then is when I want to add the data, the 3G search and connectivity protocol added afterwards, so that I know everything's working fine. And it's just flushing it out once we have all the sensors working. Once that solution, are we going to have three sensors? We're going to have four sensors. How are we going to have the four sensors? Once that's all solved out, which should be rather soon, we want to also start working on the body of the whole mechanism, having the whole thing. And, I know one of the big things Piano wants to do is, which would be next steps, would be the cloud integration. Once we have those sensors working, we have the readings right, we want to make multiple modules. We want to have not just one, but a few set up around, so we can kind of make like the spatial mapping. And that's a big thing right now in the community, something that a lot of people have been, when it comes to environmental solutions such as that. So that's one things that we want to take this project towards. If we have the time, we do want to finish making the actual device first for the project, but we do want to implement. And the particle makes it really easy with this integration module that it has. So we have different outlooks that we can try to use, and there's other ones that are third parties that would need, we need to pay for, but that's something that Crest has no issue doing. So that's just further steps. But right now, that's where we're at least where I'm at, where I have been contributing. For sure, there's a lot more work to be done with device and coding, and that's all really. Thank you, Professor. I'll see you next week.